And I think from here, I'm going to hand it over to Laura. And Laura will take you through the different approaches that you can use in the classroom or with your students to work on your projects. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you, Shaista. Through this next section, we'll explore how design thinking can transform your classroom, engage your students, and foster innovative problem-solving skills. Using this approach, your students will be empowered to take action, and you may choose to embrace the Global Changemaker Challenge as a platform to highlight your students' ideas and empower them to make a change and actually have impact in this world. Okay, so design thinking. It's a human-centered approach to innovation and problem solving. It involves 5 key stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. This method has its roots in the field of design and engineering, but has been successfully adapted to education. Research shows that design thinking in the classroom encourages creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. It empowers students to tackle real-world problems and come up with innovative solutions. In Australia, education initiatives increasingly highlight the importance of these skills in preparing students for the future, as you would have seen with ACARA and what Shaista was going through before. Okay, so now let's break down each component of the design thinking process. So first of all, we have empathize. The first step is to understand the needs and experiences of those that you're designing for. In the classroom, this could mean having students conduct interviews, surveys, or observations to gather insights about a particular issue. Next, we define or articulate the problem clearly. Based on the insights gathered, students create a problem statement that guides their efforts. This helps to ensure that they're addressing the right issue, and teachers in the webinar today will know how easily kids can get excited and go off on a different tangent. So having that definition and that real question that we're trying to answer makes a real difference in keeping us focused. Then we have ideate. This is the brainstorming phase where children come up with as many ideas as possible. We encourage wild ideas and creative thinking at this phase. Techniques like mind mapping or storyboarding can be very effective here. Then we have prototype. Students build simple, tangible representations of their ideas. These prototypes can be anything from sketches and models to digital simulations. The key is to make their ideas real enough to test. And then finally, the children test their prototypes with users and gather feedback. This step is crucial as it provides insights into what works, what doesn't, and why. So it's that cycle of improvement and learning. So one of the key aspects that makes design thinking so effective in education is its focus on solving real-world problems and presenting solutions to an authentic audience. Tackling real-world problems can spark curiosity and passion in our students. They're more likely to engage deeply with a project when they understand its significance and potential impact. The hands-on, meaningful nature of these projects captures students' interest and keeps them invested in their learning. Okay, to make this more concrete, let's look at some examples of real-life projects that you could create in your classrooms, addressing 1 or 2 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Okay, so first, let's think about clean water and sanitation. The project idea could be to design a solution for water conservation at our schools. The activity could be that students start by researching water usage in their school and then brainstorm ways to reduce waste. They might prototype a rainwater collection system or an awareness campaign to encourage water-saving behaviours. They could focus on SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and create a recycling program. Students could investigate the current state of recycling in their schools or community, define the challenges, and brainstorm ideas for improvement. They might prototype a new recycling bin design or an app that helps track recycling efforts. And the final example I have for us today is focusing on SDG 15, Life on Land. So the project could be to develop a plan to increase biodiversity in the school grounds. Students could research local wildlife and plant species, identify areas for habitat improvement, and come up with some ideas to enhance biodiversity. Prototypes could include planting plans or educational materials for their peers. Now, all of these projects I've worked on with my students, and I was working on them before I even knew really what the SDGs were. I'd heard about SDGs in the news and through different networks, but I hadn't delved into them until I started working with Cheryl and Shyster. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's really important that we remember that this is a part of the curriculum. And it's a part of what we do with students, trying to motivate them to take that global view. And if we can then align it with the SDGs, we can really see the impact that collectively we can make. I have to apologize, my throat's very sore today, so I'm not making the best use of it, unfortunately. Okay, so if you're wondering how to get started, there are many different frameworks that you can take when working with design thinking. You may have even come across some of these in your own careers. A couple of the more common ones include, of course, project-based learning, which Shyster alluded to earlier. This stems from the work of John Dewey and Maria Montessori, loosely. It's developed from there. PBL involves students working on a project over an extended period of time that engages them in solving a real-world problem or answering a complex question. They demonstrate their knowledge and skills by creating a public product or presentation. Centering on teaching practice, this particular book focuses on, focuses on the complex instructional demands of the student-centered PBL approach. I definitely recommend this one. And then we have Getting Personal with Inquiry Learning by one of my heroes, Kath Murdoch. This approach encourages students to explore questions, problems, or scenarios, rather than just simply presenting established facts. Students take an active role in their learning by asking questions, investigating solutions, and creating new understandings. One of my favorite things about this particular text is that it really has that sort of build of student knowledge over time and how you can work with students from kindergarten right through to university in building and adapting their design thinking skills. Okay, then we have the Learning Power Approach by Guy Claxton. So this is a framework that focuses on helping students to become better learners by developing their learning habits and capabilities. It aims to build resilience, resourcefulness, reflectiveness, and reciprocity, the 4 Rs. Now, Genius Hour, you may have heard of through Google's work. It's a student-centered approach where students are given a set amount of time to explore their own passions and interests. They work on a project of their choosing and present their findings or creations to the class. And of course, because it's their own creations and their own motivation, it really does spark their interest and they get very excited about that 1 hour in the week. Hopefully, they're excited about the other hours as well. And finally, we have maker education. This approach encourages students to learn through making and creating. It incorporates elements of engineering, design, and fabrication, often involving technology such as 3D printing and coding. You get really nerdy and make some amazing projects in this sphere. Now, another resource you may benefit from, this is the last one, I'll try not to overload you, is the Harvard University Project Zero's thinking routines. And these can be used from kindergarten right through to year 12 and beyond. We're all used to using See, Think, Wonder in primary school to activate a child's imagination about a topic and prepare them for new learning. Project Zero has a bank of thinking routines for you to access. So I really recommend you have a little look through them if you're establishing that design thinking program and you're thinking about how to approach it, because this will actually help you to unpack some of those ideas with students and help them to learn how to learn how to think about things. So a thinking routine is a series of questions or short sequence of steps that guides and supports student thinking. It enhances and deepens students' thinking processes, and it helps make thinking more visible. Thinking routines not only uncover students' thought processes for the teacher, but also help students understand their next steps when approaching the problem, give them that agency. This makes them an ideal companion to the work that you'll be doing through the design thinking approach. Okay, so each of these approaches offers unique benefits and can be adapted to fit various educational contexts and student needs. I'm wondering if you can hop into the chat and let me know, have you engaged with any of these frameworks in your classrooms, if you've been working in the classroom, or are there any particular ideas I've gone through with design thinking that you feel like you might approach in your own professional sphere?